Welcome to Untold Shocking History Channel. Make sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out more videos like this one.
Advance of civilization. End of the tracks. Near Iron Point, California. Photograph taken between 1865 and 1869 during the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad. Workers and tracks represent westward expansion and the transformation of the American landscape. Bloody Knife, Custer's scout, poses mounted on a horse during the Yellowstone expedition in 1873. He holds a hunting rifle used to protect the troops and explore the region. The expedition aimed to map and better understand the territory of the American West. The last run of the Deadwood stagecoach took place on December 28, 1890. The coach, which connected key towns in the American West, was vital for transporting passengers and goods. Sioux chiefs mount their horses on an open plain, depicting indigenous culture in 1905. Their traditional attire with headdresses and accessories highlights the importance of traditions for these communities. A Sioux Indian camp is depicted around 1882. Traditional tents are set up on an open field, serving as housing for families. The scene shows daily life and the cultural bonds that kept the community united amid the changes of the period. 8 Lakota ceremonial dancers pose for a photo between 1880 and 1910. They wear traditional attire used in celebrations and rituals honoring their beliefs and customs. A Chinese camp is seen at Brown Station, Nevada, between 1865 and 1869. The site housed Chinese workers who helped build railroads and other projects. Navajo Indians near the old Fort Defiance, New Mexico, in 1873. The group is gathered outdoors with adobe houses and simple structures in the background. Tasunka, known as Plenty Horses, poses next to 2 soldiers in front of a military building around 1891. The meeting highlights the interaction between indigenous peoples and soldiers during the period when the United States was expanding its western borders. Lieutenant Steyer poses with a group of Ute Indians near Fort Duchesne, Utah, in 1886. The men wear a mix of traditional and Western clothing, showing cultural contact in the region. A group of Paiute Indians poses in Cedar, Utah, in 1872. They wear varied clothing, including hats and blankets, depicting the fusion of indigenous and Western cultural elements. Lamar Pokebro and his family, members of the Bannock people, pose for a photo around 1897. The family wears typical attire and Western adaptations, depicting cultural coexistence in the region. A group of men poses in front of Reynolds and Dowling's camp in the quaking Asp Hill area, Utah, between 1868 and 1870. The wooden cabin served as a base for those exploring the region in search of opportunities. Men prepare a pack mule with sacks of flour during General George Crook's expedition march in the Black Hills in 1876. The region faced food shortages, and flour was an important resource to feed the troops. A man takes photographs in the Sierra Nevada mountains around 1866. The scene depicts the natural beauty and grandeur of the region's mountains. This activity helped document the landscape and daily life during the westward expansion. Photographer working on the Aquarius Plateau, Utah, around 1875. He is surrounded by photography equipment and tools used to develop images. Pack animals in the background carry supplies needed for the expedition. The first camp of John Wesley Powell's expedition is set up on the banks of the Verde River. The journey began as part of explorations to map the western United States. Hayden and Walter Paris conduct studies at a camp during a scientific expedition in 1874. The makeshift tent and scattered equipment show the daily life of those working on data collection and mapping. Men and prospectors gather at the White Pass train station in Alaska around 1900. The railroad was essential for transporting people and supplies during the gold rush. A prospector works near a flooded area in Nome, Alaska, around 1905. He holds a gold pan to separate minerals, a common technique during the gold rushes in the region. Prospectors seek new opportunities in a gold field around 1890. The region attracted adventurers looking for wealth, changing many lives. Two miners weigh gold in a cabin near Nome, Alaska, around 1900. They use a precision scale to carefully measure the gold they have collected. Prospectors work with a gold pan and sluice box to separate gold in the Alaska region around 1898. The scene shows the intense mining activity that drew many people seeking opportunities. A woman works as a laundress at a camp during the gold rush in Alaska, Yukon Territory, around 1902. She stands in front of her makeshift tent, surrounded by buckets and washing tools. Dick Latham returning home with an antelope in Wyoming, 1888. He rides his horse across open land, carrying the downed animal for food or resources. Cowboys from the XIT Ranch in the Texas Panhandle around 1902. They sit around travel gear with wagons and horses in the background. The scene shows the cowboys' routine, responsible for tending cattle on long drives. Freight transport in the Black Hills between 1887 and 1892. Horse-drawn wagons travel the trails, carrying essential goods for settlers and miners. Two covered wagons slowly move toward a cable ferry beside the Colorado River around 1903. The scene shows the importance of ferries for crossing rivers in hard-to-reach areas. A worker stands outside the north gate of Summit around 1880. The gate was a passage point for workers involved in mining and other activities in the region. Officers and guests have lunch under a large cactus near Fort Thomas, Arizona, on February 18, 1886. The gathering took place during a military expedition in the region, which was important for troop movements. Fort Sill, Indian Territory, seen from the southeast in 1889. The fort served as a military base and a place of protection for settlers and travelers in the region. Wooden houses and military buildings spread across the landscape. Fort Garland is depicted in 1874, located in Colorado, one of the fortifications built to protect settlers and travelers in the region. The site housed soldiers and their families, serving as an important support point for military operations and defense. Pies Headwind, a Potawatomi, appears with other residents in front of his farmhouse in Kansas in 1877. Wooden and thatch buildings were common at that time in agricultural settlement areas. The entrance of a mine in Belmont, Nevada, is depicted in 1871. The small structure served as a base for workers seeking minerals in the region. Mining spurred the area's economic growth and attracted people seeking opportunities. Colonel Dupersaul's ranch in New Mexico, around 1885. The ranch is built of wood, with lookout towers and horse stables. The site served as housing and a base for farming and ranching activities. Horse-drawn vehicle in Dodge City, Kansas, between 1880 and 1910. Men sitting on the wagon talk while the horses wait to depart. In the background, wooden houses with white picket fences showcase the architectural style of the time. Mexican House, Ranchita, in New Mexico, between 1880 and 1897. The houses were built with adobe, common in the region, and drying chile peppers hang on the walls. Officers' quarters at the Arizona Territory Camp in 1871. The buildings are made of wood with simple roofs and low fences around them. These barracks served as housing and resting places for officers stationed in the region. A small village known as Red Mountain Town appears amid the Colorado Mountains around 1890. The town was founded during the gold and silver rush in the region, drawing workers from across the country. A group of Indians from southeastern Idaho gather in an open area around 1897. The site consists of traditional tents and a large wagon wheel used for transportation at the time. A silver mining scene on Cheyenne Mountain, Colorado, depicts economic activities between 1870 and 1890. The area was known for its mines that attracted workers seeking opportunities. A meal is served at a cowboy camp on the banks of the Yellowstone River in Montana. The site depicts life in the American West, where cowboys gathered to rest and eat. Two Mescalero Apache women are in a camp in a mountainous region of New Mexico between 1890 and 1910. Canvas tents, set up among the vegetation, served as temporary housing for the community. A worker skins an animal on a farm, photographed by J.J.C.H. Grabill, around 1887. The scene highlights the common practice of preparing food manually, typical in rural areas of that era. A group of men gathers for a poker game at a ranch in Arizona on John Doyle's ranch. The place served as a meeting point for travelers and workers seeking entertainment. An Indigenous woman is in a camp, carrying a baby on her back, between the 1880s and 1890s. The scene portrays the daily life of Indigenous families who maintained their customs and traditions despite the changes of the time. A group of students and their teacher pose in front of a mud schoolhouse in Woods County, Oklahoma Territory, around 1895. The school was made of mud and sod, common in rural areas where wood and bricks were scarce. Some cowboys from the Aztec Land and Cattle Company pose in Holbrook, Arizona. The company, known as the Aztec Cattle Company, played an important role in ranching in the American West. Men shoot at targets on John Doyle's ranch in Arizona between 1887 and 1889. The activity was common among farmers and workers as a form of training and leisure. Fort Keogh's saloon in Montana served as a gathering point for soldiers and visitors between 1890 and 1894. The establishment sold drinks and food to those seeking a moment of rest. A group of people is seen in the center of Anadarko town site, Oklahoma Territory, on August 18, 1901. The town was an important arrival point for settlers seeking new opportunities in the region. A cornfield and a traditional Navajo cabin appear near Holbrook, Arizona, in 1889. The site shows an everyday scene of Navajo families growing their own food. A border post office in eastern Montana is seen operating in the 1880s. The site served as a vital communication point for settlers, ranches, and travelers. Dobbins Mills in the Black Hills, South Dakota, is shown operating in 1890. The sawmills were responsible for cutting and processing wood, which was essential for construction in the region. Men shoe horses in a forested area near Skagway, Alaska, around 1897. The practice was essential for keeping the animals in working condition on transportation routes and expeditions in the region. In Georgetown, Colorado, the traditional deer dance takes place, recorded in 1890. The ceremony was part of the cultural festivities of the time, representing the community's connection with nature. A market is set up at Military Plaza in San Antonio, Texas, in 1887. The site brought together merchants, farmers, and residents who bought and sold various goods. Relaxed moments at a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers camp and visitors, recorded in 1889. The site gathered engineers and explorers working on projects and research to expand infrastructure in the West. The post office in Chilkat, Alaska, is shown operating between 1894 and 1895. The office served as a communication point for settlers, boats, and explorers navigating the region. 4 prospectors are depicted on a trail in Alaska around 1897. They carry packs with supplies and tools, showing the harshness of life during the gold rush. A panoramic view of the town of Galena, South Dakota, is seen from the southwest in 1890. The town was an important mining center, attracting workers and traders seeking prosperity.
PV Gerard H. Murtha, 87 Winter Saint, New Britain, Con. PFC Jack A. Linsmeyer, 1206 Carlisle Ave.